Regardless of what metric you're using to determine your rate of return, cash-on-cash return, cap rate, ultimately, it all comes down to rents. If you can get that right, you're on track to making wise investment decisions. On the other hand, if you get that wrong, your calculations will be completely flawed and you'll never get the returns that you expect. So what are some strategies to find out what the market rent is where you live? Here are my suggestions on where to start with some free resources. The first great challenge to any real estate investor is finding accurate market rents. Use the resources that you have and ask people that you know are currently renting, especially if they recently moved within the last 6 months to a year, and you can start there. But if you don't have anybody you want to ask, or you're testing out a brand new market, start here and ask what people are buying or selling houses for. But if you're on the website, instead of searching the information on buying and selling, click on rent. Now, rents listed online have two separate components. Some are private, meaning they are individual people who put the property for rent. And then there are businesses, somebody that owns a lot of apartments, complexes, or large units. They obviously have a little more control in how much they can get or what amenities and services they provide. So when you're checking out the map, simply zoom in into the area that you're looking at. And you can compare the units that you're looking at. Remember, the listing rents are not 100% accurate because it doesn't necessarily mean the places will get rented for that amount. On the other hand, apartments that rent lower than what you're seeing online will immediately be unavailable, since an owner or property manager will remove it as soon as it is rented. Zillow does a good job at providing a lot of details for metropolitan cities. The information may not be as accurate when you live in a rural area, since it all depends on what percentage of property owners and managers actually list their real estate. When you search for large cities such as Houston, Texas, it obviously covers a lot of area, and so does Jacksonville, Florida. They have so many zip codes that you need to be familiar with what zone or area you want to know the rents for, since each area has a completely different market. We all talk about Zone A, Zone B, Zone Z. Each one dictates what a market rent will go for. And as a real estate investor or property owner with a rental unit, you want to make a wise choice about what the fair market value rents are likely to be. In front of you is the map for Jacksonville, Florida. It is one of the largest cities in the United States. And just from my own research, the areas next to the beach and next to the city center have higher rents than other areas as you get away from the city. One piece of advice I highly recommend is trying to find a home that is within the city limits, but subject to the same market rents, so that you can get a higher rent, but as far from the city as you can, because that's where the property is likely to be more affordable. If you're an investor that also anticipates being able to rent to Section 8 tenants, one of the questions that a lot of people have is, how do I know what I can get for rents? HUD publishes fair market rents that anybody can look up. Just search HUD market rents. You will get to this hard market rents HUD user website. Scroll to the bottom and you can start searching for the information. In this case, I'm going to look for Boston, Massachusetts. You go to the next screen and it provides you fair market rents in the area. Now, a 1-bedroom should go for about $1,900, 2-bedroom $2,300, 3-bedroom $2,900, 4-bedroom, which is rare to find, $3,100. Now, are you likely to get these rents? Yes and no. These are the market rents. I think of it as average market rent for a private individual who is looking for a home in a private home. If you know somebody, you might get a better deal. If the owner doesn't actually understand what the market rent is, they might go a little less. To understand what these numbers means, it simply means it's the maximum a housing agency and or a private individual may be willing to pay due to the availability of apartments, condition, size, and location. So there's still a lot of factors to take into account. In this area of Massachusetts, when somebody rents an apartment in a complex, the tenants are responsible for utilities, and in some locations, HUD rents include the tenant also being responsible for the utilities. In other areas, the HUD rent includes paying everything and the tenant is not responsible for the utilities. Those factors depend more on the region that you're in, so you also have to research what are the rules of what utilities are included and what utilities are not included. So let's go back and restart. Let's go back and show you Florida. You have to figure out what county properties are in. So do a quick Google search and say Jacksonville, Florida, county, and you'll learn it's Duval County. Duval County consists of so many zip codes that they simply listed them all, and it is quite a lot. There's a lot of variability here. So if you look at 32041, you got 960, 1100, 1500. You go to 3228, you got 800, 900, and 1200. Versus here, you have 840, 1000, and 1320. Scroll down to a higher end zip code, and you have 1100, 1300, and 1700. If I had the choice of buying a property here or buying a property over here, I definitely go for the higher one. But don't forget, those market prices take into account what the market rents will be. So as a wise investor, you need to figure out and do the research of what you can expect for market rents. Don't be deceived into buying a house that looks beautiful, but it's in a depressed area where the rents just aren't there yet. The last place that you can look is your Facebook Marketplace. Here, depending on zip code, people have listed homes because everybody's on Facebook these days, and it makes it easy for them to post and list properties. The great thing about looking online is that there's so many resources that you simply have to be familiar with all available resources or the most popular ones so that you can do the research. Another resource that was very common and still is Craigslist. Here you simply look for apartments, housing, and you just list where you want to live. You can find all listings by address, by city, by how many bedrooms, by market rents. You even have a chance to pull up a map and figure out where it is that you want to find an apartment and what is available so that you can kind of get an idea of what they're going for. The information I'm providing is simply a resource as an alternative to going right to Rentometer or other websites that promise to give you all the information directly. Their information are simply statistics, and while I don't dispute they may be accurate, as a brand new investor or as a new property owner, the last thing you want to do is have a new cost associated with being an investor. Rent.com, with the obvious website that somebody would want to find a rental in, provides a lot of advertising and listings. But again, the ability to track and monitor market rents will be solely based on whether you live in a metropolitan city that there's hundreds if not thousands of people looking to rent and find tenants, versus you living out in a state where you'll have a small availability of resources to determine market rents. Again, you can always ask around. There are always websites, and the true market rents are not what you see as listings online, but rather the actual rents that people agree to pay once they have signed an agreement. Those are the true market rents because they've committed themselves to living somewhere and paying what they think is fair market. If you search online how to find market rents online, you'll notice that Zillow advertised to be on top of the ranks, so does Rentometer, and the online has available resources that you can easily use, such as Rentometer, Craigslist, Hotpads, Zillow, Realtor, RentRage. Again, there's a lot of apps and information that might help you in your market, but the true metric to any real estate investor is accurate, fair market rents, because that's how you will determine whether you're making a wise decision in becoming a landlord or buying rental property in an area you're not familiar with. If you're new to my channel and you haven't subscribed yet, hit subscribe, join, and stay tuned for more information.